Okay, good morning, everyone at Team Horner. My name is Mary Tamborski, and I'm a certified positive discipline parent coach. I'm also a marriage and family therapist. And most of my experience actually comes with being raised with the book of positive discipline. My mom wrote the first book 45 years ago, and I never realized the opportunity and the privilege that I had in being raised with this philosophy and all of these different tools. We actually have a deck of tool cards. There's 52 of them. And our new book that we're most proud of, actual success stories of what these tools look like in real life. And I know, like many of you, or I should say all of you, we are really struggling right now. I have three young boys who are 7, 11, and 13. And I got the call while they were still in school on Friday, almost 3 weeks ago, that they were going to be done with school until April 16th. And it was about a week later that they decided to end the school year. And you can imagine all the change and kind of the shock of all of that, knowing that you have to homeschool your children and basically deal with all the differences in your life as far as your routine, your habit, all of your norms and your schedule, certain things that you really do depend on, like work and time alone, whether it be at the gym or meditation, prayer, whatever it may be. We've had everything completely changed before us. And guess who else is struggling? Our kiddos. Our kiddos are missing their friends, they're missing their sports, they're missing their routine, and they're not even connecting in the same way that we are as adults. So we still have the option of either FaceTime or like this company is offering with these Zoom meetings, which is such a great way to stay connected. But what I'm learning in the parents that I'm working with and in myself and the struggles that I've recently encountered with all this new change is that parenting is already so hard. We are already really feeling challenged with the many different experiences that our children present to us, whether it be that they're whining or that they don't want to contribute around the house. They may not want to do their homework and they might be giving you a little bit more attitude. They're actually grieving. I recently heard a really smart author. I wish I could remember his last name. His first name's David, and he talks about grief. And he said that grief is any time you have a loss. And when you think about all the things that I just mentioned with our, our face-to-face connections, our human interaction, our jobs, our routines, being able to leave the home, our freedom, sports, whatever it may be, all of that's been taken away from us. And so we're grieving. We're all going through different stages. I went through shock. I went through denial. I've gone through fear, and I'm going through hope. And I've finally come to the term, I think, second week of just acceptance. And with that acceptance, I am so grateful that I have these tools because new challenges are being given in our home every day. We're finding all kinds of new challenges. And so one tool I want to offer parents right away, because what I have found is that we can't change our children. Unfortunately, they are who they are. And many parents are looking for tools for how to change their children. And the first thing that you need to change is yourself, because when you change, your kiddos will change. So there is hope. You can invite that connection, you can invite that cooperation. And all of the tools that we teach are based off of Adlerian theory. And it's all about treating children with dignity and respect and having that mutual respect, that mutual understanding, cooperation, and letting them know that you're really on their side, that you're there to problem solve with them and to focus on solutions. And every day is going to be a new problem, and every day you can find a new solution. So I want to teach you a demonstration, and it's called Brain in the Palm of the Hand. And it's based off of the work of Dr. Dan Siegel. And he was he is a really intelligent doctor who understands the brain and has designed this demonstration called the whole brain model. And so what he does is he uses his palm like this, or his hand, to represent his brain. And so I'm just going to show you briefly what's happening when your children are pushing your buttons and you're losing control of your own behavior. So if you hold up your hand like you're going to give a high five, and imagine from the bottom of your palm to the top of your wrist right here, This is your brainstem right in the back of your neck. And in your brainstem, your reptilian part of your brain, the primitive part of your brain is where your fight, flight, freeze response is. This is also where the automatic functions for survival are, like our heart rate and our breathing. Next is our amygdala, our midbrain. And so imagine that right in the mid center part of your brain. And in the midbrain is where we store all of our early childhood memories, our feelings of insecurity and inferiority. And there's a lot of stuff in there. And we keep these two work in conjunction. So your midbrain and your primitive, or your midbrain and your primitive brain work together. And let me just say right here, no rational thinking is taking place when you're in that midbrain or here. If you fold your four fingers over and imagine this to be your prefrontal cortex right here, this is where we all are right now. This is when we are able to think logically and come up with rational solutions. We can problem solve. You can listen to this meeting and think of or hear some really great ideas and some really great tools and feel inspired and encouraged and want to put them into play. But guess what? When you get home later today and your children are whining, or they're giving you attitude, or you see that the house is still a mess and that they haven't done their homework, or they're complaining about doing their homework, or complaining about getting off their screens, what happens to you is those are button pushers. So I want you to imagine some of the things that really push your buttons, what your children might say or do. And imagine for you to have that button pushed, what happens is you flip your lid. And when you flip your lid, remember what's exposed. Your fight, flight, freeze response, your midbrain, where none of your rational thinking is taking place. And this is when we make threats that we don't keep. This is when we say, okay, you can forget it. You're either grounded, or you're not going to be able to watch TV, or you can forget about having ice cream, whatever it is. And we don't necessarily mean it, but when we're upset, we definitely mean it. We're very irrational here. And so what we want to do is not make threats that we're not going to keep, first of all, but we want to really get back into our prefrontal cortex right here. And what we need to do to get there is to calm down ourselves. And so there's different coping skills or different regulation skills that you can do. And the first one that works for me is just to simply recognize that I'm flipped. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a deep breath, or 10 really intentional long inhales and exhales. And what you'll notice is the science is now proving this, that when you take those moments to breathe, at least 10, you really start to regulate your brain. This is also a really great opportunity for you to model to your children about regulation. And I want you to think about 15 years from now, 20 years from now, when your children are flipped, or when they're grown adults and they flip. Do we want them just to say whatever's on their mind, whatever's on their irrational mind? Do we want them just to react? No, we want them to respond. We want them to respond in a thoughtful and encouraging way. So we say connection before correction. And you're going to hear me say this with all of the different tools. Every single one of these tools is based off of the principles that you have to reach your child's heart before you can reach their head. And this goes for any relationship. This could be in a relationship with your spouse. This could be in a relationship with your colleagues, with the customers that you're working with. If you are feeling flipped, you cannot solve a problem. So we have to regulate. I want to show you a couple screens, or a couple slides to help demonstrate this. And here's Dr. Dan Siegel's one of his books, Parenting from the Inside Out. He also has The Whole Brain Child. Oh, what's going on here? Why can't I go next? Okay. And then just to highlight, when we're in that prefrontal cortex, this is what we have. We have, the regulation of our emotions, our response flexibility, our intuition, our social cognition, morality, and much, much more. And remember, this is where we want to be, and this is where we want our children to be when we problem solve. Here's a picture of my son when he was just 7. And so I always like to teach this demonstration in a real kid-friendly way. You could say, this is when we get upset in our brainstem. This is our feelings of fear, or not feeling good enough. And then this is when we're calm. And then here's a picture of him showing when we're not calm, when we really flip our lid, how upset we can be. And I also want to talk to you about mirrored neurons. So just like when you yawn, it invites that yawn back from somebody else that you see, or when you smile, somebody else will smile back at you. This is a picture of two hands that are both flipped, but they remind me of like two dinosaurs attacking. And so I want you to remember this image the next time you're feeling flipped or your lid is flipped, that this is not the time to solve the problem. And that a quote that I love from my mother, it says, "Where did we ever get the idea that in order to make children do better, we have to make them feel worse first?" This goes back to, again, those principles about connection and how important it is to really be calm and to invite your child to be calm. And it's only when you're both calm, both here, that you can focus on solutions and problem solve. So controlling your behavior, taking time to breathe, and just simply walking away. I have a 13-year-old, and when he rolls his eyes at me, I know that that is not the time to solve a problem. Two very important T's I want to mention when it comes to communication, again, this is for all relationships, this is not just with your children, is about timing and tone. And you will know if it's the right time if you are getting eye contact and a good tone, or you feel that energy in response. You will know that it's not the right time if you are getting tone back, or if your tone is coming across as sassy or as lecturing or as blaming or shaming. We don't ever want our children to feel blamed or shamed, because it's not them being defiant when they roll their eyes or talk back or whine or say things they don't mean. That's a human response of them feeling attacked. And so when we feel attacked, when someone's pointing the finger at you and saying, "How could you? How many times have I told you? When are you ever going to learn? We keep talking about this every day. You can just forget about all your privileges. I'm going to take them away." Well, as soon as you hear any of that and you see some of this, our immediate response is to defend. We're feeling attacked. And so what do? We either attack back or we shut down. So we really want to make sure that we're coming to our children with the right timing and tone. And then also know that we have an opportunity to model for them. And so I know that I can't see all of you, but I'm just going to assume that you're all participating. And I want to do a short little exercise where if you were to see that I'm making this okay sign, I want all of you to make an okay sign. And now I want you to wave your hand all around in the air. And now go ahead and place it on your chin. Again, I can't see you, but I know what you're doing. And most of you, even though I'm saying chin, to place it on your chin, most of you have it placed on your cheek. Does anybody know why? It's because what we say and what we do is more effective than what we say. So if we're saying to our child, "We don't yell in this house. There's no yelling in this house. There's no disrespectful conversation in this house. You don't talk to me that way, young lady, after all I've done for you." And so are they going to be learning how to take time to calm down and to regulate? Or are they going to learn how to react versus respond when you flip your lid? So again, modeling is one of the most helpful and instant tools that you can start using today. So if you want your children to be calm, and if you want your children to speak to you with a respectful tone, you need to speak to them with a respectful tone. And remember that what you do is more important than what you say, and that you need to be here before you even try to communicate. We have lots of tools about different ways to handle all the challenges that you're experiencing. I am extremely excited to be working with many of you one-on-one individually, either through phone conversations, Zoom, FaceTime, however we can connect, whatever's convenient. And what I do is I find out what the current challenges are that you're experiencing. And then I teach you the different tools that you can use starting right away. And the feedback that I'm getting from the people that I'm working with, the parents that I'm working with, is saying that these tools are magic. They really are finding so much cooperation from their children, so much cooperation and so much connection. Because remember, it's about connection before correction. And I can tell you that connection equals cooperation. So we need to create that connection with our kiddos, whether it's through a relationship and the time that we're spending with them. That's another tool. We have a special time tool, creating routines with them. We have a routine chart tool, having family meetings. I could do an entire session on family meetings and the steps that there are to have a family meeting and getting them involved in the brainstorming and the problem solving. So I would love to be able to answer direct questions, help you solve the problems to the challenges that you're experiencing. So if you would like to comment or to send the questions through email or through someone in the marketing team with Nina, she will make sure that I get those questions and I can answer them. I would also love to work with you one-on-one. Your company, Team Horner, the Color Me Healthy program, this is like a program I've never experienced before. The support is, I mean, it's just amazing. And I can't imagine a time that would be more valuable than now to really reach out and seek that support. So again, thank you for this time this morning. I hope that this helps you and that you can start being calm immediately with your child and model for them how to take deep breaths, how to walk away, how to tell them, I'm too upset to talk to you right now. I'll come find you when I'm calm. Or you can simply tell them, I see that you're really upset. Would you like a hug? A hug is the fastest way to help your child calm down. And it'll help you feel better. It'll help them feel better. It'll immediately get them back into that prefrontal cortex. And then you can focus on solutions. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you find this helpful. And again, I'm here to support you however I can. Thank you.